All right. So this is where we left off yesterday. And so Layla and Emmy, I know you weren't here yesterday, but we were talking about how in a sentence, if we say like Miss Enting walks to the store, we can't say Miss Enting walks to the store, right? It doesn't make sense. We need the subject of the sentence to agree with the verb. Does that make sense? So it's kind of a weird rule, but when our subject is singular, we need to use a verb that's singular. However, our verbs that are singular, they usually end in S. So if you think about it like Miss Enting walks to the store, there's only one Miss Enting, but our singular verb ends with an S. So that's the opposite of when a noun is singular, right? Singular nouns don't end in S, so it's the opposite. So then when we have a plural subject, like the dogs walk down the street, we don't say the dogs walk down the street. If our noun then is plural, the dogs, then our plural verb usually does not end with S. So if the subject ends in S, our verb shouldn't. And that goes with our helping verbs. Our helping verbs that go with the singular subject, they're also singular. Is, was, has, does. But then when we have our plural subject, we use the plural version of those. Instead of is, we use are. Instead of was, we use were. Instead of has, we use have. Instead of do, does, we use do. And then there's the one pronoun that kind of doesn't fit. If we're talking to one person, we're using the pronoun you, we actually use the same rules as we do with plural. So look up to your page. Okay. So with that in mind, and we talked a lot yesterday about how a lot of this, we could just say a sentence in our head and decide if it sounds right, right? Yeah, if you hear someone say that you drive to the mall yesterday, that sounds weird, right? Instead of, did you drive to the mall yesterday? Okay, so let's correct these sentences. Think in your head how we would correct them. First one says, Lizzie has 3 sisters. The second one, you love snack class. The third one, we sing the new song in choir. So think in your head, how do we correct these sentences? Give me a thumbs up when you have an idea on how to correct each sentence. Give me a thumbs up when you know how to correct each sentence. All right. Now, I want you to put on your mask, whisper how to correct each sentence to your partner. Let's just say they're in present tense. So be safe.
Yeah, you're right, because
It is also better. Alright, listen up. So for the first one, Lizzie, you're going to tell me on your hand if it's singular or plural. If it's singular, you're going to put up a 1 for the subject being singular. If the subject is plural, you'll put up a 2. So in our first sentence, Lizzie's our subject. Is Lizzie singular or plural? Show me on your hand. Singular, so 1, right? Yep, 1. Now, we have the verb have. Is have singular? No, that is why Lizzie have three sisters doesn't work. We need a singular verb, right, to match our singular subject. What is it? What is the singular form of have? Raise your hand. What's the singular form of have? Layla? Has. Lizzie has three sisters. Does that subject and verb then agree? And our second one. You love math class.
I do love.
Show me on your hand. Is the subject singular or plural for this one? Okay, I see some people putting up ones. I see some people putting up twos. I see some people doing this. Does the pronoun you immediately tell us how many there are for a subject? No. That is why with the pronoun you, we always use plural verbs because we don't know exactly how many people we're talking to. I could go to Grayson. Grayson, you love math class. Or I could say, you love math class for the class, right? That's why we use the plural verb. And that's why when we use you, if we use a singular verb that ends in S, it doesn't work. You love math class. We need to say, you love math class. Then our third one. Show me on your hand for our third one. How many subjects do we have? Is it singular or plural? For our third one. It is plural. We always involve more than one person. We sings a new song in choir. That doesn't make sense.
Sing.
It should be what? Raise your hand. What should that verb be? Any? Sing. If it's in present tense, we sing a new song in choir. That's right.
You sang.
If it was in past tense, we would say sing.
If it was in the future, we will sing.
Yep. Nice. Okay. Partner play. Voices up. You will be creating a quiz for your partner. You need to create two sentences where the subject and the verb do not agree, then have them correct it. So write it in your notes, and then you will pass your notebook to your partner to correct. The voices up. Create a partner quiz. And my virtual learners, I want you in your own notebook write two sentences where it does not agree, and then I want you to correct your own two sentences. So virtual learners, you're going to do this, but instead of passing it off to a partner to correct, you are going to correct your own two sentences. Make sure your two sentences, the subject and the verb do not agree. So what helps me when it comes to this fifth grade, like if I'm creating a test, I'll think of a sentence that does make sense, and then I'll think, how can I change the subject or the verb to where it doesn't make sense? Maybe start with the sentence making sense, and then change the subject or the verb so it doesn't make sense. Two. Yep, two sentences. Two sentences. Hey, voices. You can do this without talking. When you and your partner have corrected each other's sentences, please put a thumbs up on your desk. That way I can see which partner groups are still working.
mentioned how you say it in Australia. Some people would.
That's fine. I know where it is. Alright, once it's done. It's done so people switching. Hey, voices, I still have a few groups that are working on correcting each other's name about 16 back. So give your partner back their notebook when you're done correcting it. You guys good?
What are you supposed to do to come back from distance learning?
Phil has started feeling under the weather, so he might not be coming back tomorrow like he's supposed to. So we'll have to see. Okay? We'll have to see. Jack?
Is that teacher on vacation?
He's distance learning this week and he should be back on Monday.
So we got half our classroom back.
Allison?
How long is that vacation?
Alright, ready to rock? Have we all exchanged and given back notebooks? Okay. How many of you had, just give me a thumbs up if your partner correctly corrected the sentences. Give me a thumbs up if they corrected it. Nice. Yes, yes, Mr. Bookboy.
Well, I'm not too sure. Yeah,
Alright.
integrity.
Show
integrity.
Show integrity. Nice. So, here's what we're going to do next. Almost. Before P, real quick. I have, okay, so, I have some more examples up here. What I want you to do is in your notebook,
The boy.
in your notebook, rewrite the sentence correctly. Where's the song? In your notebook, rewrite each sentence correctly. Okay.
Wait, you just have to do the whole sentence or just like...
Rewrite the whole sentence correctly. So it's not like you need to write the sentence incorrectly and then rewrite it correctly. Just write it correctly in your notebook. Give me a thumbs up when you have all 5 of them written down.
Oh my god. Are they all in present? Miss Andy, are they all in present?
Yes.
Okay.
They're all in present tense. So rewrite each sentence correctly. Now rewrite each sentence correctly. Give me a thumbs up when you've rewritten each sentence correctly. And I will say that technically there are 2 correct ways you both ways for each. But hey, voices, people are concentrating. Ready to rock? Alright. So while we wait for Mr. Leach to come out and get you ready for PE, I'm going to show you how each sentence can have two ways of correcting it. So the original sentence for the first one is the boys was happy. We could keep was and change it to the boy was happy, or we can keep boys and change was to is. The boy is happy. So for each one, you can either correct the subject or the verb. So the second one, the pizza is delicious, or the pizzas are delicious. For our third one, the kid plays outside, or the kids play outside. For our fourth one, the shoe is dirty, or the shoes are dirty. And then for our fifth one, the artwork looks expensive, or the artwork looks expensive. Give me a thumbs up if that makes sense. Give me a thumbs up if that makes sense. When you have to correct a sentence, you can either correct the subject or the verb.